And welcome back to the only Magic the Gathering and Elden Ring Fusion channel. I'm Kurt.
And I am Renard. Here we see what it looks like when Elden Ring and MTG Legends planeswalk into each other's worlds.
And as always, we're hosting a full double feature.
Today, our commander deck is led by Rennala, Queen of the Full Moon, and our recusant is Reyav, Mastersmith.
And in the second half of the show, watch our Invader Reyav gear up for real-time combat in the lands between.
Well, let's jump into the showcase for Rennala, Queen of the Full Moon.
Hush, little Culver. I'll soon birth thee anew, a sweeting, fresh and pure.
All right, and here we are in front of Raya Lucaria.
All right, let's get into the breakdown of the Rennala, Queen of the Full Moon commander deck. So to start, I chose to go with Innala, Archmage Ritualist. Can't mistake the names, it's going to get confusing, so I'm going to say Rennala as much as I can. But the card breakdown for Innala, 5 mana, Grixis commander. She's a 4/5 human wizard, has the Eminence ability that everybody loves. Whenever another non-token wizard enters the battlefield under your control, if Rennala is in the command zone or on the battlefield, you can pay 1 generic mana. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that wizard. The token gains haste. Exile it at the beginning of the next end step. And at the bottom, you got tap 5 untapped wizards you control to have target player lose 7 life.
Oh yeah, and the fact that she's Grixis ties this in a way that I didn't see coming, because I think when people hear Rennala, Queen of the Full Moon, I think Azorius blue-white colors are the first things that come to your mind.
Yeah, so initially I was going to go Esper because I really like Sephiroth as a commander, and I think Sephiroth as an Esper wizard also fit the flavor. And if you playing Elden Ring, when you deal with Rennala and all the sorceries of the Raya Lucaria family and everything, you definitely get a really heavy Esper feel. You're looking at blue obviously because you got wizards. You're going to be casting magics. This is going to highly be a spell slinger deck.
Yeah, obviously blue was going to be part of it. Wizards and witches automatically get some blue, sometimes some black, but in this case I can see that spot. But what about the black and the red?
So the black, I went black because as you get into the dark side of the moon, kind of a spoiler here, you're going to get black, but realistically Rennala is actually like one of the better necromancers in Elden Ring. If you think about it, she's able to reincarnate the Tarnished to however you want when you do a rebirth cycle. And when you initially fight Rennala, all her sweetings are around, which based off the lore is really just her recreating wizards.
Yeah, so in game it was actually Radagon who gave her the power to rebirth people as she saw fit, correct?
I believe that's how the lore broke down.
Yeah, so that makes sense with the black then. She's basically recycling life. Pulling
Right.
them from the graveyard, putting them right back into her little sweeting egg.
Right. And hey to you too.
Whoa, are we invaded?
I think it was your
Oh, we sure were.
somebody. Wow, that was
Well, that was quick.
stepdad beatdown.
Hey, thanks for not ruining our episode.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. We would have fought you. It would have been fun.
Don't know what happened to you. I hope you're okay. But come back again. We'll be here.
Okay, so you were talking about the black with the sweetings, but then what about the red?
Yeah. Well, so the last thing with the black part too is
Oh, sorry.
the way that Innala, the card itself, works is you're basically, in a sense, reanimating a copy or animating a copy of the wizard that you're having enter the battlefield. But just like the lore with Rennala, the Sweetings are imperfect, so most of the time they die off
They
anyway.
have failures, yeah.
Right. So the same kind of effect breaks down with the Rennala card as you exile the tokens. Red, however, I chose to go with, because red is the color of passion and emotion,
Drive.
and
yeah.
just raw emotion, which
Yeah, bursting out of the volcano with energy.
right. And so Rennala has a lot of passion and a lot of love for Radagon specifically, and her little sweeting children that she creates. And there's a little bit of the mining aspect as well. Raya did a lot of mining for the crystals for the sorceries at Acelia and such. So there's a lot of similarities to that with Red's support for mining and artificing.
Yeah, it actually worked out really nice because it gave you that full Grixis, which, for those of you who don't know, that's blue, black, red, makes a Grixis card. For having the full Grixis breakdown, it translates well from magic because you're using these automatons and the crystals and the primeval sorceries, and it works out well.
Yeah. And then the main reason that I had to make this push for Grixis is when you talk about Rennala, Queen of the Full Moon, she is, the way the lore states, enchanted by the full moon, and that's where a lot of her sorceries and influence comes from. So red gives you access to the best moon in magic in Blood Moon.
Oh, so our first card we'll talk about then, right?
Yes.
So how does Blood Moon tie in?
So Blood Moon is itself a red enchantment. It strictly says non-basic lands are mountains.
And that's everybody.
Yep, it is.
Yep, I love that card.
Yeah, and
That's sarcasm, by the way.
so the funny thing about this is most of the time you won't see a Blood Moon being thrown into a deck that has, more than 2 colors, because you're going to be theoretically running a lot of non-basic lands, so you don't want to screw yourself over. In this deck, I specifically designed it with less non-basic lands than I would normally put in a deck, especially a 3-color deck. I run 38 lands just as a template base, and I think I'm running 30 basics and 8 non-basics. And all of the non-basic lands that I'm running outside, I think, Command Tower and like 2 others, are your generic Evolving Wilds, things that can fetch up a land.
Yeah, you're going to be getting basic lands out of it. Yeah.
Right, just to thin the deck out, get it on board. And so Blood Moon, I couldn't not give a Rennala deck.
And having that moon obsession, it's a fun time.
Right. And so then moving on, another part of the deck.
Our second card. Let me spoil this, please.
Okay.
I just have to say, I looked up what this word meant, and I could not find the etymology of it to figure out why this is coincidence. But with Rennala having her daughter being Ranni in Elden Ring, makes it pretty crazy to talk about this next card, the Ranni.
Yeah, so the Ranni is one of the Doctor Who cards, and I'll admit, I don't know anything about Doctor Who. It just happened to be a great coincidence that we're talking Ranni and Ranni. But the Ranni, the magic card, is also a Grixis commander, so if you want, you could switch these out and use the Ranni over Rennala, representing Rennala.
It's great because that's her daughter, right? So
Right.
they're the exact same color pairing as in Grixis.
Yeah, and ironically too, the Ranni card itself plays it has a lot of flavor for how Ranni is in Elden Ring. So to break down the card, 4 mana Grixis spell, 3/4 creature, Time Lord Scientist. That won't be relevant here for the deck, but whenever Ranni enters the battlefield or attacks, create a red aura enchantment token named Mark of the Ranni attached to another target creature. That token has enchant creature, and enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and is goaded. And then it also says whenever a goaded creature deals combat damage to one of your opponents, investigate. What I love about this is that, it's somewhat of a spoiler if you haven't played Elden Ring yet, Ranni herself literally goads you into doing
her quest.
a major quest for the entirety of the game.
She pulls in a lot of young men, from what I hear.
Yes, you've
Personally, I like the madness ending better, but sure, whatever. That's your thing.
They're all nice. In this case, we're going for the moon. But the enchantment giving the +2/+2 and goad. I mean, goad is just a really fun mechanic for people who like combat and doing some crazy stuff like that. And the investigating piece on the end, that's just a little, icing on the cake for this card. But just like in the game, you as the main character, as the Tarnished, e.g., Blide. Everybody is really serving Ronnie in various forms. And so you have that mark of the Ronnie on you, essentially.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, the flavor was just too much to pass up with,
Yeah.
with the name. I don't know why this deck carried over so much to Elden Ring, but it certainly did.
So if I remember correctly, Ronnie has a moon of their own.
Yes, she does. This card, I actually like it better than Blood Moon, but price tag wise, everyone will go for Blood Moon. So this is the Dark Moon that Ronnie worships in Elden Ring.
What's the card?
This is Winter Moon. It's a 2-mana artifact, completely colorless, and it says players can't untap more than one non-basic land during their untap steps.
Yeah, that's about right. In line with Blood Moon. So,
Yes, I love stacks and taxing and all of that, so this is one of those cards that I just want to slam in every deck I can.
Undeniable. I'm surprised they actually printed it in Modern Horizons 3. I didn't think they were going to be pushing more of this, although I do believe this and card draw both need to be punished.
Yeah, and so this is kind of a nice little carryover too, because you're not generally when you're running this deck, you don't want Blood Moon and Winter Moon on the board at the same time, because Blood Moon will kind of shut this off.
But this isn't Rennala's moon. This is the Ronnie's moon.
Right. And so, whichever one you get, you put it down. But like I said, you're not running a lot of non-basics, so Winter Moon will be minimal for you. Mm-hmm. The next flavorful piece of this showcase, we have Mox Amber.
And how does Mox Amber, being a 0-drop colorless spell, work with this?
Well, I'm glad you asked.
Well, I don't remember, so I'm genuinely asking.
If you recall, when you fight Rennala, the entirety of the time, she's holding this giant amber egg.
That's her sweeting.
Yes.
I remember.
Her pure sweeting.
Yeah, I love it.
That she uses to rebirth everybody.
It's the amber sweeting she holds for the rebirth. Yep.
It is. And Mox Amber itself is, like you said, 0-drop legendary artifact. Tap it, add 1 mana of any color among legendary creatures and planeswalkers you control. It's just a perfect little mana rock.
It's a thing of beauty when this stuff comes together that smoothly.
Yes. So then moving through, I'm going to talk these two at the same time, because they kind of go as a pair when you play Elden Ring.
Oh, yeah.
So representing the primeval sorcerers of Lusat and Azur, we have Naban, Dean of Iteration.
As who? Lusat or?
As Lusat. I'll kind of touch, I guess, why. And then Vadrek, Astral Archmage, representing Azur. You could kind of turn them either way, however you wish. I like using Naban representing Lusat because it's a mono blue card, and Lusat is all blue gemmed up with everything. But Naban is just a 2-mana, 2/1 human wizard. If a wizard entering the battlefield under your control causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, it triggers an additional time. So Panharmonicon for wizards. Simple card, very effective. And when you're running what is going to be a wizard tribal deck...
Yeah, he just enhances intelligence where intelligence may be found.
Exactly. It's perfect. And then Vadrek, Astral Archmage, is a 3-mana 1/2 human wizard that is in the Izzet colors. And it has the day-bound, night-bound mechanic. I think mechanic, Nicholas, this is one of only 2 cards that I put in here because it's not a very popular mechanic, but it is super flavorful for this deck. So,
is it because of the day-night cycle?
Kind of, yeah. But I mean, in Elden Ring, all the sorceries, the primeval sorcerers are obsessed with the stars and the moon and just the cosmos in general. So this gives you that representation of studying the stars and everything to do with space and developing your magic from there.
And for people who don't know, Lusat and Azure both were at Raya Lucaria as the head sorcerers, and they were able to actually peer past the veil. If you notice, if you look at them in game, they're crystallized over. It's because they looked into they looked into the primeval current, which personally, I know this isn't canon, but I'd love to believe that the primeval current is actually just weaving in and out of the blind eternities. So when Azure and Lusat looked and peered past the veil, their minds actually fractured under the weight of the cosmic horror that supplies the primeval current. And that's where they learned the 3 primeval legendary sorceries.
Yes. And each one I know had their own specific study. One was studying comets, the other one was studying asteroids. And you'll see that in game. We're going to touch on the sorceries here in a minute. But so we have those two cards representing them. I guess Vadric in totality with the day-bound, night-bound stuff. When he enters the battlefield, if it's neither day nor night, it becomes day as he enters the battlefield. If you're familiar with playing day-night cycles when it came out with the most recent Innistrad set, there's a token that just basically determines
Flips.
throughout the game
Yeah.
if it's day or night. And if it's nighttime, I think if a player casts 2 or more spells on their turn, at the next turn's upkeep, it becomes day. So there's constantly a cycle of day, night going on. But the main reason that it's helpful is that instant and sorcery spells you cast cost X less to cast, where X is Vadric's power, and again, he starts out as a 1/2. So just having him on board, all your instant sorceries cost 1 less to cast. And then whenever day becomes night or night becomes day, put a +1/+1 counter on him.
And this happens quite a bit, honestly.
Yeah, especially if you can get him down early enough in the game, you're going to be getting... It will inevitably flip, and people tend to leave him alone because you're getting some discount, but it's not until you do something crazy or you find a way to enchant him or get more and more counters on him that your instant sorceries are costing a ton less. But
Well, these two guys representing Lusat and Azure is fun because they're not just trinket wizards that help in Inala's goal. It's actually two very strong wizards, which they are in Elden Ring, providing that same power in your deck.
Right.
And somehow that turned out with the turning of the moon, because where Vadric being part of Innistrad Midnight Hunt, they were all about the cycle of the moon with the werewolves, so that really tied in well.
Yeah, there's a lot of, like I said, there was a lot of flavorful connection in this deck build going into Elden Ring. The next part, we already touched a little bit teasing about the 3 primeval sorceries. So I found 3 specific cards that I think represent each of the 3 primeval sorceries very well. So
Tell me all 3 of them first.
So the first 3 the 3 primeval sorceries in game, you have Founding Rain of Stars, Stars of Ruin, and Comet Azure. Each of these 3 will give you a little trophy if you get all 3 of the legendary sorceries. So the cards, I'll just go one by one here. Founding Rain of Stars. Beautiful spell to cast.
Is which one?
And in Magic, I have it represented by Torment of Hailfire.
Yeah. That works out.
Yeah, the artwork is kind of similar, and Torment of Hailfire is a very iconic
Yeah,
black
and if
card
you
these
look
days.
at the art, you can see the primeval... I'm sorry, what is it? The legendary sorcery coming down off of Nico Bolas, as if he's casting it.
Yes, it is. It's a very powerful card. It's a 2 mana black, 2 black and X sorcery, and you repeat the following process X times. Each opponent loses 3 life unless that player sacrifices a non-land permanent or discards a card. I mean, you just get...
obviously that's a game winner.
Yeah, you get a ton of mana into this, everybody's going to have a bad day. Now,
So then, to represent the next one, you had what?
So for Stars of Ruin, I chose Starstorm. Similar, 2 red and X. This is an instant spell. It says Starstorm deals X damage to each creature, and then it also has cycling for 3, so you can pay 3, discard it, and then draw another card. I like the value of cycling, especially late game. Obviously, at least gives you something to do.
Yeah.
And it's not the strongest board wipe that you could ever get, but realistically, I mean, the flavor of the stars, and then Stars of Ruin is a very powerful sorcery in the game.
Oh, yeah.
It just represents pretty nicely. And then for the last one, Comet Azure, there's a few spells out there, especially in red, that I found work really well for this style of mechanic, but I chose to go with Banefire.
That's your straight up damage.
It's
right direct to your face.
It is 1 red and X for a sorcery. Deals X damage to any target. But if X is 5 or more, this spell can't be countered and the damage can't be
looks
prevented.
Like we're invaded.
Invaded by Bloody Finger Perfumer.
perfumer. Let's get ourselves.
If he doesn't use a perfume bottle or she doesn't use a perfume bottle, I'm going to be very disappointed.
Yeah. I love those perfume bottles.
I do. They was probably the best thing the DLC added.
Yeah. This is a pretty cool place to fight.
I'm good for this.
Okay, so you were talking about the Banefire being our third and final primeval legendary sorcery.
Yes, and the reason I ended up going with Banefire is because Comet Azure is a crazy powerful spell, and you really can't block anything. It will go through all targets, anybody along its path in Elden Ring. And it just keeps going as long till they're off to the right coming at me, and then it will just go through an entire person, which is a lot of fun. I'm expecting perfume bottles. They have the perfumer robe and everything. This is going to be fun.
All right, let's see what they want to do. Oh, they want to buff. Let us buff.
And what up? Oh, I totally.
Oh, he's got the perfume bottle.
Madness, too. It's not good for me.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no.
Hey, that was a good fight. I'm so glad he didn't have to fall off that edge.
I would have felt bad.
Good fight.
But Perfumer, loved the theme.
Yes, thank you for staying on theme. It's kind of a big thing.
Yeah, if you would have came at me with a giant hammer, I would have been so upset. Alright, back to what we were talking about. We had the 3 primeval sorceries. Last 2 things about the deck that I think were just capital amounts of flavor. You had to kind of go deep in the lore. So I added Metallurgic Summoning into this deck. It is a 5 mana blue enchantment. It says whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create an XX colorless construct artifact creature token, where X is the spell's mana value. It also has pay 5, exile Metallurgic Summonings to return all instant sorcery cards from your graveyard to your hand. Activate only if you control 6 or more artifacts. So this deck, like I mentioned, is going to be a high amount of spell slinging.
Yeah, this is a super cool ad.
Yeah, and I like it because there's a good chunk of reanimating of the instant and sorcery spells. So the way I like to play the deck is I don't like to
get as many casted as possible.
Right, and I wanted it so that you can keep casting the 3 legendary sorceries, being that they're all basically X-based spells. I don't want to. You don't want to feel like you got to save it up for the one end game hit. Like Torment of Hellfire definitely can do that.
Yeah, for sure. But that's just the flexibility of the deck, and that's why this card is cool. Is because whether you pull it mid game or late game, you're going to be getting value out of it for its initial. Whenever you cast an instant sorcery, get your construct. But then you can always play this late game as a 10-drop spell, right? 5 to put it down, 5 to pop it right away, and you get to recast all those legendary sorceries.
Yeah, you need to get them back to your hand. There is obviously the working on the 6 artifact piece, but generally not hard when if you have this out and you're casting instant sorceries. Then the way I like to see this represented through Elden Ring is that you're basically, every time you cast a spell, you're making a marionette soldier.
Oh yeah, they're loaded. They're all over that Raya Lucaria castle. The one we're looking at right here?
Yes.
Raya Lucaria.
They're everywhere. And so that helps bolster your army because the Raya Lucarians and Carrion Manor, again, going deep in the lore, there was less than 20 knights that served the Carrion royal family. So that's why they were taught sorceries to amplify their ability to fight against larger forces. So sticking with that theme, I actually only have 17 non-legendary wizards in the deck.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Which is extremely low for anyone who's ever ran a normal Rennala wizard deck.
A+.
But each one of them, I think I have 17. I think 14 of them all have ETB triggers, so that way you do get that double dose of it with the Eminence ability. Mm-hmm. And then, like I said, a good chunk of them have recursion effects so that you can cast these legendary sorceries early on, even if it's just for small amounts.
Yeah, but you're going to do it again later.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, you do Torment of Hellfire early game just for 2 or 3, it's still annoying.
Oh, yeah.
And then you just do it later on in the game because they think, oh, he popped it early, but then, boom, here it comes back.
Yeah, I love the way it ties in between all these wizards that are trying to just cast a bunch of spells. And then you turn it around, you say, all right, well, these spells are now constructs. And not only that, but, well, I'm going to pop this enchantment, I'll just do it all over again. Sounds like the Raya Lucaria way to me.
Yeah, and then the very last card was
Glintstone sorceries.
yeah, you just keep on casting. And the very last card that I like to throw in there, again, this will be a little bit of a spoiler if you haven't played the DLC for Elden Ring, but Rellana, I know these are really complicated, Rennala, Rellana, Arani, oh my gosh, but Rellana is Rennala's sister. She is the Knight of the Twin Moons. A really fun person to fight when you get to her in the DLC, but I chose, for magic purposes, for her to be represented by Adeliz the Cinderwind, is another red-blue, or is it commander, human wizard, 2/2. She has flying, haste, and whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, wizards you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Rellana was the head knight for the Carrion royal family, essentially.
And she hits hard.
Yeah, she does. And you got red, you've got blue, because she's using the magic of the moon, the fire powers. It was just a nice, easy, flavorful piece to throw in there. And like I said, you're casting spells, you get a bunch of wizards. You just pump them up.
I love it. Yeah, I love the way this deck operates.
Yeah, it should play very, very resilient between casting spells over and over, getting you some ETB triggers off the wizards and the eminence back up. And then hopefully if you can get Rellana down, you can go wide a little bit, pump the wizards up, cast more spells. But I mean, that's the goal of the deck, is you just keep playing your favorite instant and
Over and over
sorceries,
again.
however you want to fill it in. You just keep on casting spells.
So honestly, what do you think bracket placement wise, what we're looking at here?
So you got a lot of freedom with this deck build. My current deck list, it kind of sits between a 2 and a 3, and
Do
that's
we have any game changers?
specifically it sits between 2 and 3 because I run Ristic Study in mine and Mystical Tutor. But like I said, a lot of the game
But neither
changers,
of those are necessary.
no, you can make this as budget as you want. You can make this as expensive as you want, or as competitive as you really want it to be. There's a lot of flexibility with how you want to play it.
Yeah, personally, I'm not a big fan of using the big tutors.
Yeah, I mean, some people don't like tutors. I like tutors. I mean,
Nothing against it.
yeah, but my deck list kind of plays like a generic Grixis control. You got a couple heavy hitters in there, but
So if you had to nail down a 2 or 3, what are you calling it?
I would go out going off my deck list. I give it a 2.
All right, a 2 it is. That's what we're calling. Well, next up, untapped potential. Let's go talk about some old cards and some new cards.
Old school, new school.
You ready?
Let's do it.
Let's go.
All right. We're going to be talking about one of my favorite new cards to come out in the recent years of Magic's history. This is Ensnared by the Mara. Again, I don't really have any understanding of Doctor Who or many of these newer Universes Beyond sets, but I love this card and the mechanics so much. It is a 4-mana red sorcery. It says each opponent faces a villainous choice, which I know is a specific mechanic to one of the Doctor Who decks. So each opponent faces a villainous choice. They exile cards from the top of their library until they exile a non-land card. Then you may cast that card without paying its mana cost, or that player exiles the top 4 cards of their library, and Ensnared by the Mara deals damage equal to the total mana value of those exiled cards to that player.
So I like this because red is getting a lot of this impulse draw lately.
Yes, over the last few years, red, they've been pushing more of the impulse draw, which I personally really like, because I don't know, it just feels like you're doing something else. I've always liked Scry too for that same reason. It just gives you something extra to do. But I love this card, having played it a couple times now. It always does work. No matter what,
It's a value card.
Yeah, you're gonna pay 4 mana. You're either gonna be casting possibly up to 3 spells for free. You never know what you're gonna get, so I like the little chaos aspect of it. Or you're exiling the next 4 cards off someone's library, which if you do this after somebody's tutored, you're already going to disrupt them because they're either exiling it or you're going to cast the tutor, whatever they tutored for.
You always bring it back to disruption somehow.
Because that's the way I like to play.
You and your wheels.
Yeah.
I know it's not a wheel, but this is a very good card. It gives you so much, what is the word? Card advantage. It's just knowledge right on the top of your deck.
Yeah, It's a lot of value, and
It's a very good new
and
record.
every time it just throws things for a loop. It's so fun. In either way, you're getting damage or you're getting a spell for free for minimal mana value. It's just a blast.
Yeah. And for the old card,
Oh
this...
god, he's right there.
Whoa. Wow, invaded in the middle of our... What's that potential?
He just like appeared. My goodness. That was... He found a way... I know, he just teleported again, I think, until he was finally close to us. Akimbo Slice.
Killed me. That was awesome. Ooh.
He's definitely got some range on that.
You guys poking. I got the right thing for you. Ooh. Good fight, Akimbo. I'm sorry I got in there with the Pata, but you got me good with that blood.
Also, sorry that took so long. We know you invaded a while ago.
All right. So for the old card, we have Grim Feast. It's a Golgari card, one of my favorites, Golgari. One colorless, one black, one green. It says at the beginning of your upkeep, it deals 1 damage to you. And Commander, who cares, right? So let's get into the good thing, right? Whenever a creature is put into an opponent's graveyard from play, gain life equal to that creature's toughness. This is so good for all the life gain strategies. I don't know why people don't use this card more often. I recently put it in my Taval deck, Arbiter Virtue, and I think it's going to do well there.
Yeah, it's a really good card for just offsetting incremental life loss, and there's a lot of fun ways to play with it. I know I have it in a Beladros deck that just is all about life gain, and whether you hit a board wipe and just gain a ton of life, or you play some Edict effects like Fleshbag Marauder.
And that's funny you bring up the Edict, because the Blasphemous Edict is the board wipe of choice I choose with this card. And most of my Golgari plus decks.
Yeah, and it is an older card. Again, we have some really nice artwork on this from old school art. It was Mike Kimball taking it back a ways here. But it's a solid card. I know it was a little expensive back in the day. I think it's probably come down a little bit these days in price, but it's definitely nothing crazy. But it's a fine card. You got a lot of removal in black and green decks generally, so there's no reason not to play it.
Yeah. Well, let's just head over to our invasion area and see what we can pull out with Reyav. Reyav Master Smith is a 1 red, 1 white legendary creature, a 2/2. Whenever a creature you control that's enchanted or equipped attacks, you know what they get. It's some double strike time now. Look at that. Ooh, I love it.
The finest of dwarf craftsmanship.
Let's start by looking at the equipment screen. You see we've got the Smith's Grip Axe. We've also got Mesmer Soldier Cold Axe and the Banished Knight's Cold Halberd.
I personally really love the Smith's Grip weapons. They're so fun because you just heave them all over the place and you get them right back in your hand. Puts a lot of range, catches people off guard if they're not expecting it.
With that being said, you can see our stats on the right. Not to mention a heavy frost buildup I like to have on all of his weapons. He's also a tanky boy, being a dwarf, so I like to run the Dragon Crest Shield, the Pearl Drake for defensive buffs, but I like using, since I'm jumping a lot, with the Bloodforged Battle Axe, It's good to have the jumping talisman on for extra damage. Not to mention, I am always going to tell people get endurance and vigor. Those are your two most important stats. So I like to have the double or the two-headed turtle talisman as well.
Yeah, I love that you're using the Smith script axe to represent Bloodforge battle axe, because, well, Bloodforge battle axe itself, 1 mana artifact, equipped creature gets +2/+0, and whenever the equipped creature does combat damage to a player, create a token that's a copy of the Bloodforge battle axe, and it equips for 2. The Smith script weapon, if those things actually stuck around in the game art, you would have axes all over the battlefield, all over your opponents. They're just everywhere. It's awesome. But I'm curious, I guess, tell me why you chose Reyav to come into the lands between.
Reyav is an attacker, but not only that, he's a smith, an artisan, and a studier of the art of war. And actually, if you look at the picture, you can see there's a lot of blue going on. I mean, obviously he's got his axe there, which we have, but him being a red and white guy, you wouldn't really think there's a lot of blue. But if you look back at his origin, he's from Kaladesh, which is now Avishkar, right? So we're going to call it Avishkar is the theme we're trying to get in the background. He's channeling that either into his weapons. You can see he's got these tubes that puts the magic liquid inside of the weapon. And we've got on his axes, they're both magically infused with cold magic.
I love it.
We've also got the Colossus Hammer.
Every equipment deck is gonna smash the hammer into it.
We'll get there when we get there, but for the inventories, Physic, we've got the Crimson Burst Crystal tier to represent our Celestial Mantle that goes in every Reyav deck, which this is a 3 colorless white enchantment aura that enchanted creature gets +3/+3, and whenever a equipped creature deals damage to a player, you double this player's life total. So any equipped creature is going to gain you a whole bunch of life. So we're going to use our Crimson Burst Crystal tier to show that. Not to mention, since we're here, we like the Magic Shroud and Crack tier since we've got magically infused weapons. But with that, how about we check out our first invasion?
Yeah, let's show off the goods.
So here we are in the Halig Tree. This is a beautiful area of the game.
It is one of my favorite maps for sure.
So here we got, looks like a Flaming Strike buff. Oh, you hit that lightning on the side.
But if I remember right, this is, yeah, you 3-on-1?
No, this is
2.
actually 2 invaders. The other red above his head shows you he's also trying to kill the host. Charizard, I don't know how that axe missed. He'll take that one.
I think it's just with the weapon art with that, he's just bending in the right directions. It's one of the nice details about Elden Ring combat.
And I love throwing these axes around.
And dual wielding them, it's
Got you, son.
the range. The Smith script weapons just give you that added
They
range.
do. I love playing mid-range. And this double axe isn't so bad. Look at this. Shot, three-pointer, fade. I love it.
Yeah. But I think it very well represents the double striking effect and just showing off the Bloodforge battle axe.
Yeah, it was way more fun than I expected it to be with the limited range on the Smith script weapons. I'm also a fan of the spear as well as the circs. And now we're back with Reyav, but a little bit of a different build this time. We've just got the Giant Crusher, which is actually going to be our Colossus Hammer, which no Reyav deck would be without.
Absolutely.
Colossus Hammer reads as a 1 colorless equipment. It costs 8 to equip though, but equipped creature gets +10/+10 and loses flying. Everybody knows that you need to cheat your way past these equipment costs, but when you do,
Yeah, I mean, anything getting +10, and then with Reyav getting double strike, you're gonna just close out a game. And if they block, it's likely gonna die.
Yeah. And the cool thing about this giant crusher is that we can magically infuse it, which Reyav learned from his buddy EG when he got to the Lands Between.
It's a perfect piece.
Yeah,
The hammer's obviously massive. So flavor-wise, it fits perfectly.
Oh, it's the Colossus Hammer all day. Look at this sucker. Look at it. That ain't no joke.
Beautiful.
And then with that, like I said, I like to have a second weapon all the time. The Colossus Hammer, or the Giant's Crusher, is very slow, so I like to use the Gold Vein pick as well. It's much quicker. It doesn't do as much damage, but you'll see. It's a 2-drop spell, colorless equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+1, but the more important thing is that whenever it deals damage to a player, you get to make a treasure token. So with Reyav, you're probably making 2, if not more, depending on what you got set up with multiple creatures.
Yeah, I mean, the treasure tokens are a great addition to Magic in general, and it's a nice aggressive ramp, and the double strike will allow you to get 2 treasures off of it. Simple card, and the weapon, although adorable in comparison in Elden Ring, is lethal. It will do its job.
Yeah, well, that being said, let's take a look. The city of Nokron, the eternal city, that is.
I think this is my favorite spot.
This is so cool. I love the underground starry area.
The Nox people, the lore, like you said, the night sky being underground. It's
absolutely gorgeous.
one of the coolest things.
Let's see, do they want a real fight? Or do they want one-on-one? Okay. Very nice. Looks like we're going to have ourselves an honor fight. Let's check it real quick. Yeah, we're not going to get jumped from behind by the third person. Alright, cool. Let's do this.
It's a very creepy motion he's making there.
I love this hammer. Okay.
I've personally never actually played with this hammer because I just haven't unlocked it yet in my game, but watching it looks like a ton of fun, even though it is slow.
It is very slow. You gotta learn how to use it. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you can see there that the hits, it just rails a person with damage.
Yeah. That R2 is pretty nifty too. You got some pretty heavy hyper armor. But you see, now that I got him down, it's really hard to hit with that Colossus Hammer still. This little pick makes it a little bit better, especially with that Hoarfrost Stomp we were using earlier to do some area control. You got him.
Nice.
Good fight. Very evasive. Alright, time to host. Let's check it out. Yeah, let me take that physic. That's that Magic Shroud and Cracked here, so we're doing heavier magic damage. As you can see, we're infused on our Colossus Hammer. With Endure, we're just going to go right in the heavy,
This is perfect
right
timing.
through it, and then poink.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it works. It worked well, especially with the magic infused hammer. It screams Reyav.
Yeah, when your hammer is as big as the person you're swinging it at, it's going to do work.
And now we're back with another build, one final one, with a very cool sword, the Curved Greatsword. They are my favorite weapon in Elden Ring.
I've seen you use them to great effect.
Yeah, and in this case we've got Phrage's Greatsword, and again we're going to magically infuse it, magically cold infuse it, so we can get those ice procs. It's good burst damage, but not only that, we've got the Cold Smith's Grip Axe again, just for our second quick item. But the Phrage's Cold Greatsword is actually very similar to the Sword of Vengeance in Magic. That's a 3-drop, colorless equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+0, has First Strike, Vigilance, Trample, and Haze. So, Swords Dance on the Phrage's Cold Greatsword for its Ash of War is actually very similar to Vigilance, because Swords Dance is hard to punish in Elden Ring, and that's essentially like attacking and tapping in Magic. Since you can't punish my Swords Dance easily, it mimics the Vigilance and a little bit of the Trample at the same time. So it works well.
Yeah, especially with a stronger, larger weapon, you get a lot of impact with it. And so I really like Sword of Vengeance. It's always been a pretty iconic equipment. You don't have to run it obviously in any deck if you don't wish to, but I've always liked the card. It does give you a whole lot of keywords on it between, first strike, vigilance, trample, haste. I mean, basically everything you need out of the kitchen. So, as you can see with the motions of that sword, what I really like is a sword dance is a very fast and fluid motion that kind of belies
the first strike.
Yeah, it kind of belies the normal motions of the heavy curved swords because they're pretty slow, obviously, with their weight. So it gives you a quick little fast motion that you're not expecting.
And I love that third little point at the end of it.
Yeah, especially because you can kind of delay it, so you can time it off a little bit and readjust angles if you need to.
Not to mention, it's a gorgeous sword.
It is very, very well crafted. Design team, excellent job.
Well, let's take a look at the invasion. Again, the Halleck tree. 2 today.
There's no shortage of enemies. And a lot of people like to be there.
I love fighting here as an invader because it's so vertical.
Yeah.
Many layers to choose from.
For me, I like it because it's probably the closest I'll get to playing an Elden Ring style game, but pretending I'm inside Minas Tirith.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It does have those Lord of the Ring vibes to it. Minas Tirith with the great cliff and the tree and that, yeah.
I mean, so FromSoft, if you want to make a Lord of the Rings game...
Did you just ask FromSoft to make a...
Oh, I didn't ask. I just hinted it, just putting the seed out there.
Look at the bleed on this thing. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's aiming the other way. Yeah, this is a good weapon.
I'm liking his look. He's got like this weird bloody Joker merchant vibe going on.
Stormstomp got me.
It's very eccentric, one might say.
And Reyav, being a dwarf, can throw those heavy-looking pots.
He's a dwarf. He can do whatever he wants.
Get him, boy. Alright, here he goes. He's on the flea. He tried to hit me with that incantation. And he'll get a pot. How have all these enemies not killed him? Very good job evading them. In the air, knocked out.
Pop, pop. Oh, man.
And see that swords dance.
Like I said, it adds a lot of very quick motions and versatility because there's a lot of slow motions there.
Yeah, and the internet's pretty rough too with that swords dance right now.
We are taking it indoors.
Trade it out. And I think we take it. Nice, good fight.
And beautiful. Beautiful showing off, like I said, the speed of having sword dance on a heavy weapon.
Yeah, it turned out well. Great. Well, that's our 3 invasions for Reyav. Hopefully you guys got to see what a good varied weapon selection with the master of weapon arts would look like.
Yeah, it's not very flashy, but I mean, you just have a different set of enchantments going on to the weapons. It's just like Reyav. He's a master smith.
But with that intelligence based, with those magically infused weapons to get that extra damage. I love that he's a Boros guy who has no blue in him, but you can tell with the art that they intended to have exactly that.
Yeah, I mean, dwarves have a deep knowledge of their craft, obviously, so hence the fact that they're skilled artificers.
And we got one more card for you guys today. Just a little pro tip for anybody who likes equipment decks. Don't forget about Inspiring Statuary. It's a 3-drop spell. Colorless, non-artifact spells you control have improvise. So what that means is that all the equipment on the battlefield can now help you pay mana towards your commander. So the commander tax is essentially covered all game.
Yeah, it is a nice little sneaky use of making your equipments basically mana rocks, because your equipments never tap physically when they're attaching or unattaching, unless you get into like reconfigure stuff from Kamikawa, I guess. But like you said, it's basically just reducing your spells by the number of equipments for the most part.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that.
I know it's just one of your pet cards that I like wheels, you like Inspiring Statuary.
I like a lot more than that. Alright, starting us off with our featured invasions of the episode. We're gonna go with co-op as normal. Here we are in the southern jail in Caelid. And this is again me and my wife. I'm running my Mad Pumpkinhead build.
It's a very, I mean, it is mad. It really is. I see the big pumpkin head and I expect
Look at
something.
that fire, nice. You see the Mad Pumpkinhead of what?
I just expect, you know, the normal pumpkin heads. It's a heavy armor piece. I mean, it protects you from critical hits in the head. So the fact that you're using the perfume bottles, which are very cool. This is a very good fight too.
Yeah, it's a lot of back and forth. We're weaving and dodging. That's what I like.
It's always a challenge fighting indoors, depending on your build.
I put down a frenzy flamestone just for the fun of it there.
They're kind of nice. They're random.
Yeah, they're funny. Ooh, backstep mistake. Well, could have had him too. There it is. Look at that madness.
I love it. I love that effect.
Oh my. We both backed off.
Or that claymore, is, you know, it's.
There we go. Ooh, good splash damage. That was surprising. Okay, hang on. I'm coming. There it is. Let's do some teamwork. Yeah, the aggro you can put on with this running attack on these potions, or not potions. These,
The perfume bottles.
yeah. In the face.
This-
Ooh, and
and
he's
there
out
it
for the
is.
count. There it is.
Gone.
Second death?
Just
There.
gone mad.
Woo, that is visually stimulating.
I love it. It's my favorite one of them.
The madness.
Yes,
I think you said that last time.
Yeah,
I'm a
I
big
do.
fan
I,
too.
it's just it's so tormenting. It's very graphic. It's amazing.
And unfortunately, we still don't have any blue footage. So we're going to have to ask
Yet.
you to send your videos in. We'd love to post them up.
Yes, send
Video
us
of the week.
Send us your invasions. I mean, whatever you got. We would love to see it.
Well, the blue is, yeah, we want
Well,
one
is a
red,
blue.
one blue, and well, we want them all. We just don't have any blue yet.
Yeah.
So we'll just carry on to our number one invasion of the week is always going to be red. Coming in this week, we got Mogot. He's a mix between Moog and Morgot. He runs Blood Flame build in the Cirques. Here we are in the storehouse.
I do not like this map.
Yeah, it's hard to invade it.
It's really cool to look at, but there's just so
Blood
much.
flame in your face. Look at this madness. Oh my gosh.
It's great having a Fire Knight as your ally.
Oh, and let the search do the work for you.
Yeah, I love these. These chakram are so cool.
Yeah, bleed build, they're pretty nasty.
And they're definitely tricky to dodge because they do that little like zig pattern.
Yeah, they track really well. They just don't have much range, but you can make up with that with aggression and just speed. Oh, there it is. And we're invaded in real life. My
by
goodness.
Bloody Finger Solaris.
That's alright, we got this. We got this. Charge attack. Nice. Jump with the fade.
Fire
And
Knight's
around
coming
the
in.
corner. Got it.
Beautiful fight.
Yeah.
That's a tough area. That's
Blood flame bleed. Love it. So who's invading us in the middle of our red invasion?
It would be Solaris. Haven't seen him yet. Oh, there he
We
is.
found him.
Very subtle.
He really likes that death lightning, apparently.
Well, that's just the normal ancient red dragon lightning.
Who is that? Solaris? Yeah. Alright, Solaris is having a good fight.
Is that Lily who we just watched invade? He's running the chakram. We're gonna get to see it in live action.
He's got the,
Oh no. That's neat.
oh, shoot, I fell.
Why'd you do that? Oh, he's also always got that Lorumi. This dude's going all in on some like Arab stuff. Indian Arab.
You got it.
Even kind of pinned to a corner. Super cool.
He's not Almost got it.
I'm gonna call my friend. If we can keep him.
Ooh, we've got some serious hurting power.
Lightning spells are very strong in this game. You have a frostbite.
Nice try.
Dear Midara.
That was awesome.
I'm maddened. He's maddened.
This fight's hilarious. That was some serious power he's packing.
That was good. Very good.
That was fun. Well, that's a fun way to wrap up the invasions for the day.
Alright, that's the point. We gotta get invaded.
All right, you ready to move it to Castle Soul Ring? Shut it down?
Yeah, it's too hot on this mountain. Let's go home.
Let's do it. Well, I think that's about enough action for one day.
Yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the Reyav Master Smith Elden Ring character build and the Rennala Queen of the Full Moon commander deck. And just recognize that the showcase cards that we highlighted here today is really just a flavor template for our designs of how we felt about the characters.
Yeah, we'd love to see if you guys have a different opinion or you would like to see a character built a different way. Feel free to leave that in the comments because we hang on all those comments. We'll read them all. We'd love to see what you guys have to pitch, and even better if you could send in an invasion where you're actually doing the thing. That would be really cool too.
Yeah, and if you have different cards that you think should be into a Rennala deck to increase the flavor, by all means share them. Show us a deck list if you have one, whatever it is. But like I said, feel free to comment your ideas, give us your details and feedback on how you would build these characters and these decks.
And if you like the invasions, feel free to check out our channel. We have a bunch more on there.
Yep, absolutely. And as always, we'll like and subscribe to all the submissions from other accounts as you guys send in the information.
As long as you follow that rules of engagement, it's on the outro. See you guys next time when we untap at Castle Soul Ring.